Then it is AMA time again. Hello to everybody who tuned in and everybody who will tune in today in our latest edition of the Etherisc AMA Ask Me Anything. We will, as per usual, talk about the crypto space and a few other topics, and then also will deep dive into our tech stack, what we're doing, what we plan to do, a little bit of the roadmap, and to conclude it in the end, we will talk about and answer community questions. My guest, as always, and my sparring partner and the interviewee is Christoph Mussenbrock. He is the co-founder and CEO of Etherisc. Hi, Christoph, once again.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. So then I would say let's start right into it. And the first topic on the agenda is we are talking about the current crypto market situation. Maybe we talk about Ethereum Foundation first.
Okay, yeah, as you only need to look at coin market caps, and you see that we are currently in a sideways market move. So no big raise or decrease of the price level. So we are always in the range of between 2,100, 2,300. So pretty boring actually, and also it's not very clear in which direction the market will go. Probably also due to the external conditions, the international situation in the Middle East and so on. Oil prices are increasing, and it's hard to get 1 liter of gasoline in Germany under €2, which is very heavy for the local economy, and it shows that there is a lot of uncertainty in the market, and uncertainty is always bad for crypto. So I don't expect that this will change anytime soon. So what we can do is have a look at the crypto community, and especially the Ethereum community, and there are some interesting things. First of all, maybe I didn't know if we mentioned this last time. Ethereum Foundation has issued a so-called mandate. So a mandate was like a 30-page document with all their ideas and values, and it was pretty, so to say, spiritual. Yeah, so it was not talking about hardcore tech, but more about the secret garden and whatever, and their values, and these claims of privacy, openness, censorship resistance, and security, and so on. So this mandate had, from the tone, it was a bit religious. Yeah, so I was actually a bit repelled from it, but also it was with some graphics illustrated, which with a lot of fairy queens flying around and so on. So not so much technical. But essentially, it's not so different from what they did in the last years. And maybe for a good reason, they always try to reduce the role of the Ethereum Foundation in the Ethereum ecosystem. And this was at least for the last 3 years, they termed it with the name of subtraction. Yeah, so they want to pull out of the responsibility, and of course they still have a lot of money, and of course they are still funding many essential and also fundamental developments in the Ethereum space, but obviously they wanted to more and more get superfluous in the space, and Vitalik coined this under the name of the walk-away test. Yeah, so what would happen if we all walk away? Would Ethereum still work? And so I think this is, in principle, it's a pretty a reasonable strategy, yeah. So that to remove any single points of failure, and as long as the Ethereum Foundation is a single point of failure, then there is still something which needs to be improved. And yeah, and now we in the last few weeks we have seen actually a result of this new methodology or this new way. Um, some high-ranking Ethereum researchers have been moving away from the foundation and still praising the foundation as important, but they are now looking for new areas. And so this included names like Tim Bako, who was the head of the logistics for the Ethereum development, and Josh Stark, who was working on zero knowledge proofs, and others. So this was received with some fear, of course. Yeah, what happens if some important figures move away? On the other side, if I remember in the very early days of the Ethereum Foundation, before Ethereum rose to these price levels, what we see today, they already had this wave of people moving away. So, for example, Gavin Wood, who wrote the first version of the yellow paper, he started Polkadot, and Christoph Jensch, who was the creator of the DAO, who also created his own company. So this pattern is actually not very new, and so probably in general, I would say it's a good move. And
Also,
so
when I can contribute a little thing to that, as you might or might not have heard, I know you're very, very savvy on all these topics. Andre Karpathy just left or migrated to Anthropic. So these kinds of rotations of high-profile personnel is not unusual. Whatever you make out of it, maybe in a short sentence, is this per usual or is it
yeah, I think
Pogo?
it's a good move in the sense that Ethereum should become independent on persons. Yeah, so it should be a protocol which works independent on which genius minds are supporting it or not, and it should just be a protocol like the internet. Yeah, the internet is also working without any. Tim Berners-Lee always pushing the buttons, and so I think in general that is a good move, but we will see. Still, Ethereum Foundation is funding a lot of projects, and I think that's interesting what they are funding. So they are funding, of course, basic cryptography, so as always, but they have a new focus on zero knowledge proofs, which is interesting because zero knowledge proof is still, I think, one of the major missing topics, because that's the precondition for privacy, and privacy is probably one of the core features what we need to get more adoption, because currently still everything is open, and so nobody wants to have all his spendings readable for everybody, and so we need a larger zero knowledge ecosystem, and we need also uh, tools which makes this usable for everybody. And this is still a large area of research. Nothing is yet available which is working out of the box, very reliable, very reliable. So I think that's a good thing. Another thing is the push to make Ethereum more powerful in sense of computing power, which includes, for example, a move to higher gas limits of over 100 million, which is incredible because when I started, we had a gas limit of, let's say, 3 million, and we had big troubles to get our insurance protocol fitting in a gas limit of 3 million, and now we are over 100 million, or targeting more than 100 million, which opens complete new areas. You can build more complex smart contracts. You can create also, for example, you could then um, process thousands of policies in one transaction. Yeah, so that was also a big bottleneck for us, because we had, as you know, we have several thousand farmers sometimes, and We had to batch these in smaller chunks of, let's say, 100 farmers for each job,
Mm,
and now we are
mm,
able to process thousands
I
of
see.
farmers in one
Mm.
transaction.
So basically, better and quicker scaling, and this leads
Yeah,
then to the next question right away. And we are doing insurance. We are in insurance. So what about insurance in this topic?
yeah,
What is that?
exactly. Yeah, so insurance is still, as you only need to also look at coin market cap and click on the insurance category, and then that you see it's still a very small area. Yeah, so there is Nexus Mutual with smart contract insurance, which is the only big one. But still, Nexus Mutual also captures only a tiny fraction of the whole market. Yeah, so and if you look at the losses based on smart contract hacks, then you think Nexus Mutual should be at least 10 times as big as they are today. They have currently a total value locked of 123 million US dollars, which is absolutely tiny in comparison what Aave, for example, with lending has. And so insurance is still completely underdeveloped, and that hasn't changed since the last few years. And so all the others are also tiny in comparison, and we are the only one who does real world insurance products. And of course, we are also tiny. That's on the one hand, it's bad. On the other hand, it shows how big potential there is still to get, and there is still little competition. And because most traditional insurance companies still are not engaging with crypto in any capacity. And this is also based, of course, on the lack of suitable protocols like zero knowledge privacy. This is all still missing. And so we have still a long way to go. So traditional insurer involvement is still non-existent, you can say. Yeah, so it's actually they have small projects, and but and these are mostly PR. No traditional insurer is doing large-scale blockchain-based insurance at the moment. Uh,
Mm,
I'm happy to be proven the contrary, but I'm not aware of any. So what we need is we need privacy. We need also better security. We need easier accessible wallets and so on. Which, for example, still we don't have a good hardware wallet which shows what you are doing. Yeah, if you look at Trezor or this tiny nano hardware wallet, then you still have no display what you are actually signing. Yeah, so yeah, so the famous blind signing problem. So even if you are using a hardware wallet, you still do not know what you are actually doing. And this is a big gap. So apart from supply chain attacks, which because all the major hardware wallets are all proprietary, there is no open source solution. And so this is also a big gap. And if you buy a Trezor, then you also need to trust Trezor. Yeah, and trusting an individual proprietary provider is actually fully against the spirit of blockchain. But anyhow, so a long way to go. And so we are happy that we have our established projects in Africa, which provide
mm.
us with a continuous stream of demand of the technology. And so we are working on that. And but of course, still a long way to go.
Okay. We talked in the last AMA about our tech stack a little bit. We only scratched the surface. I saw a few days ago you also participated in a AMA or like in a video call with a very well versed programmers and developers, and you explained our tech stack. I unfortunately am a tech noob, so but I'm super interested in how AI is being used in developing and coding and programming and software development.
Yeah,
So Etherisc is using heavily AI in order to accelerate our matrix,
yeah.
our backends, our whole structure. So could you give us a bit of an insight on how you do this, maybe on a day-to-day basis. What is your progress? What programs are you using? And how does it feel now to have all this power at your fingertips to accelerate in contrary to the last 10 years of developing, probably?
Exactly. Yeah, we started using AI, of course, 3 years ago when the first tools were available, Cursor in its early releases. And first of all, it was really a pain in the ass. Yeah, so you felt the potential, but in the daily doing, it was really painful. Yeah, because these models, these early models, still had a lot of hallucinations. And actually, the best what you could do was traditional coding. So you type your code, and then you had this so-called tab completion. So if you were typing, then the AI was making proposals how to continue. Yeah, and you could, for example, add 3 more lines where the AI already knew what you were intending, and it just completed the next 3 lines. So it was a much improvement because you could save typing these 3 lines, and in most cases it was already okay. But of course, you still need to type, you still need to think about it and do your coding. Then the next big step was agentic coding. Yeah, so I think it was introduced by Cursor, and it was the first time I think 1.5 years ago where you could actually instruct the AI agent to create a full block of code, a whole file, a whole component or something, and it worked on its own. So you prompted, for example, create a new page for my web application, create a new form, and the AI agent would then create the full code and even write multiple files at once. But again, this was painful because a lot of hallucinations. It worked sometimes, but in most cases, either parts were missing or the AI invented new parts which you didn't need, and you need to cut them out again and repeat the cycle. And so you felt, oh, this would be great if this would be working. Yeah, so that was always the thing that you were sitting there and still doing a lot of hand coding, and slowly but steady these models improved. And I think it became actually usable something like a half year ago. Yeah, when the models were good enough that you could actually hand over a complete task, and then you would really get a working result. And we started to, of course, to create a whole environment around this. And this environment is not only the agent, but also um, all possible tools to keep the agent on track. Yeah, imagine you have a young programmer. Yeah, he is very smart, but also not very experienced. What do? You give the young developer a task in the morning, and at noon you check his results, and you run a lot of tests and try to find out if the code is okay. You do a lot of reviews, and then you need to talk to the young developer. And this is exactly what an agent is. Yeah, an agent is like a smart young developer without much experience and with a very short memory. Yeah, so he forgets everything after 5 minutes. So which is called the so-called context window of an AI. Yeah, this is the memory, and in the memory he can keep a number of facts, but not very much. And so we created a lot of tests, a so-called harness, which tried to get the AI agent on track. And that worked more and more better. And so we have perfected this harness, so that we now can run the agent, which is still a young developer with a short memory and very unexperienced. But now we have perfected this harness, so we can run the agent overnight, completely unattended, and we give him a full bigger task, and he can not only create a simple form, a simple page, but he can create a full application using our harness. And to show you what this harness is about, I would like to share some slides, and let
Let
me
me
check.
ask you a really quick
Yeah.
question in
Okay.
between, Christoph. So, many AI users who are using this new tool for, let's say, the last 3 years since its inception are always complaining about hallucinations. So you just stated that productivity goes up, and for roughly half a year, you can like fully embrace and use this new tool. How do you experience hallucinations, if at all?
Yeah, it depends on prompting. Yeah, of course. The prompting is key. So if you give the agent a very specific task, then it will follow the instructions very precisely. Yeah, but the agent needs guidance. And this is exactly what we have created. We have created a full system of documents and rule sets and prompts which enable the agent to actually follow our architecture. And this is the main trick. Yeah, and so to use the agent, you need to have a very precise set of instructions on all levels, both on the higher level, so what the application is all about, but also on the lower levels. For example, which widgets are allowed on a certain page, which design he has to use, and so we have been creating a full system of so-called Lego blocks, and the AI agent knows exactly how to use these Lego blocks. And putting together these Lego blocks always produces valid applications, and so you cannot go wrong, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a trick that first of all, we have the framework, we have the architecture, all these documents, rule sets, and so on, which finally enable the AI agent to build valid and working applications. And of course, the final building block are tests on all levels. We have a super extensive set of tests, both locally but also on GitHub, where every application is tested in millions of ways. So the result is actually reliable.
So would you say, thanks for that answer, would you say that you still experience fluctuations in between versions of this tool you use, or is this getting more and more little, also in terms of quality and hallucination?
Yeah, absolutely. You feel actually the different performance even during the week. So depending on I can't prove it, but it feels like depending on the workload on the AI, uh, the current models have a fixed total workload, what they can handle, yeah, which is available for the worldwide computing society. So depending on how many people use it, this total workload can be distributed on a few or on many people. Yeah. So if there is a high load, then you get a smaller amount of the brain, so to say, and the quality is dependent on the brain. So we definitely experience different performance during different times, and we try to optimize also for this. But in general, I would say the quality has improved a lot. So the reliability has improved, and the models are faster, and also the differences between the models are becoming smaller. Um, for example, last week we had a big difference between Opus 4.7 and Composer 2.0. But starting from today, Cursor has published a new model, Composer 2.5, and this is already on ice level with Opus 4.7 and much cheaper. Yeah, so we experience currently, based on the releases, every week we experience huge steps in new performance, in new power, in speed, and so on. And also, the open source models become better and better. Yeah, for example,
Mhm.
This is a Chinese open source model. You can run it on your local machine, and so the performance of this machine is on becoming closer to these professional models which are offered by
Mhm.
Anthropic or Cursor and so on.
Mhm.
And of course, then you don't have the token cost. Yeah, token costs
Mhm.
are becoming a
Mhm.
major factor in on my monthly bill. And
You saw the post, Christoph, that some people hire juniors again to do easy programming tasks because tokens got too expensive. So we reinvented basically entry level jobs. This is such a, I don't want to call it a circle jerk, but it's just like shows the wild blossoming of this economy where
yeah,
tokens now are more expensive than entry level job programmers. Short excursion, what do you think about this new craze of a reversed economy, basically?
yeah, it's probably the same as in the early internet days. Probably 99% of what AI is used for is only scrap, yeah, and the really productive use is only a very small part because only few people know how to really build these environments where AI is really productive, and
Mm,
yeah, that's probably the case. But if
okay.
you like, then I can also share
Yes.
a bit more insight in how it's actually looking like, and have prepared a few slides I want to share. And this is so-called um, let me check, where is it here? The an architecture walkthrough. What we are building, why it has to be a platform, and how we keep our growing corpus of 1.3 million lines of code compliant. Yeah, so um, because AI coding is not happening in the void, but it's always also embedded in our general architecture. And first of all, what we are developing is a platform. Yeah, as you know, we have always been talking about the generic insurance framework. We have been talking about the Etherisc platform. The platform thinking has always been in our genes, and but it has also become support from our experience in the last few years, and this is something what I want to show you. So when we started a few years ago with the, especially with the African projects, we had different customers, and for each customer we built a bespoke infrastructure. Yeah, project ABC, Kenya, Sri Lanka, and Zimbabwe, all specific individual products. We had health insurance, we had different things. We always had the unified smart contract, but on the top of the smart contract platform, we had these bespoke infrastructure off chain. So this is all off chain here. So this was pain in the ass because, of course, we need to develop everything individually for these projects, and little usability. So the general move is from here, from this bespoke infra to a more shared infrastructure. Yeah, so everything should be as to the maximum amount should be shared, both deployment, the platform service observability, which is, for example, logs and monitoring that everything is running, and handling of secrets and so on. This should also always be shared to the maximum amount. And so what we have 1.3 million of code, and this are hundreds of different modules, and everything needs to be consistent. And so we need to find out how we can actually make this consistent. And there is a trick. We have actually so-called two loops. PDCA is a term from the software engineering. It means plan, deploy, change, and act. And so we have what you always see. Actually, it's like the Popperian error correction. Yes, you do something, you check if it's working, and then you identify the problems, and then you go back in the loop, improve, you make new errors, you criticize, or you find out which errors have happened, and so you get cycles. And we have two cycles. One fast cycle, which is actually like running in minutes. So we have a large book of rules which the AI can use. The agent then builds something and issues a pull request. A pull request is something like a small piece of code which is then be checked. This is checked automatically by our scripts and tests, and these tests will then create reports. And either the tests are successful, then we merge it, so we incorporate the new code in our code base, or we reject it, and then the cycle goes back. The AI agent fixes the errors, issues a new PR, pull request, then we have the test, and then finally we will merge the new code. So this is a very short time circle, and happening in minutes, or let's say an hour. On the other side, we watch this cycle, and of course we identify frequent patterns. Yeah, for example, the AI agent always fails at a certain point in the cycle, and then we review the whole process. We most of all we review the rules and the architecture, and this is a slow loop. This happens during days, weeks, where we actually update the rule book and update the architecture, so the agent will run more smoothly through these fast loops. And this has been a very successful model. And this is the second. The slow loop is actually the same. We try something, we experiment, we let it run on the agent, and then we update the rules if we find out that something works not so well. And
so could one say that you're industrializing trial, feedback, and also then refinement?
Exactly. Yeah, that is actually it's also in the industry. It's this was first fully implemented by the Japanese industry in the Kanban cycle. Everybody knows Kanban boards, and the Toyota, I think, was the first company who fully implemented this error correction loop in industry. And we are actually not doing much different, but we just adopt this for the AI industrialized software production, and it works really well.
So it's
So
fine to make errors, but you learn super duper fast and then improve along the way, and it's
yeah,
more
exactly.
about the speed of learning now.
And for
Okay.
this, we have these three layers. We have deterministic scripts which check our code, which are not agent driven, which are hardcore tests. Yeah, so you cannot cheat. Yeah, so these are checkers which check all types of features of the code. And an agent is always somehow undeterministic, so it can miss out things. And so we decide to have this first layer, which is deterministic scripts which cannot be cheated, and this is the last level of defense. Then we have templates. Templates are great because the agent only needs to modify small parts, and we can generate whole applications from these templates, and the agent knows exactly how these templates work, and can create in no time new applications, new forms, new pages, and so on. And finally, the missing gaps and the fine-tuning is always done by agents. They are aware of the rules and write inside these constraints which are given by the rules. And of course, the agents are both reviewed by other agents. We have review cycles which are agent-driven, but finally we have these static checkers which are cannot be cheated and are somehow objective. And so we have incorporated these different tools in the agent loop, and this enables us to actually run a whole night, a full workflow and describe an application and run it through it with fully unattended. And in the morning, we see a merged new PR and a working new part of the application. And we can fully concentrate on the specification, which becomes more and more important because the better the specification, the better the result. Yeah, the better you know what you need, the better the agent can work, and the more efficient it is also.
Okay. So you also mentioned new verticals in your
Exactly.
presentation, and just go back real quickly, like um, the layered defense model in general feels more like compared more like an enterprise ready model than pure vibe coding. Vibe coding is also everybody's buzzwords storage now. Can you like give us like can you talk about vibe coding, your model of what I just said, the defensive what is it, the defensive enterprise layer or the defensive
Yeah, exactly.
part, and how it differentiates from a day-to-day normal user, and how you are basically doing the whole backend now by your on your own.
Exactly. Yeah, vibe coding is actually a term from that you give the agent one prompt, and then the agent will create the full application with a little modification in one batch. Uh, that can work, but it can only work for applications which are already well known, like flight simulator. Yeah. So a lot of people have built flight simulators in the past. So in the corpus of the large language models, there is a fairly complete set of instruction how to build a flight simulation. Yeah. So if you start with a Cursor and you say build me a flight simulator, then Cursor will succeed because a million people have built flight simulators, and it's actually completely in his knowledge. The same for other simple video games and also simple applications like a small CRM system or whatever. As soon as you get in areas where it's more specific, then you will fail with vibe coding because there is simply no knowledge in the whole LLM which tells you how exactly you will implement this. Try to implement a parametric crop insurance for Africa, you will fail. This is such a specific area. So the LLM knows how to build some parts of insurance, some part of parametric, some part of crop, but it will never build this together. And this is where vibe coding fails, and that is where you need to be more specific, and you need
I
to
see.
build this whole environment what we have created.
Okay, so then let's go to the new verticals, or like the old topic insurance.
Yeah.
And how is this now a much broader type of application, which are called ERP system, and maybe in context with also SAP?
Exactly. Yeah. The idea was when we built insurance, we actually built many generic components which are multi-usable. For example, payments. Yeah, payments can be done used for any industry. So when you know how to build payment infrastructure, then you can do it for any industry. The same for accounting. Yeah, insurance needs accounting. So we have built an accounting system, but as soon as you have an accounting system, then you cannot all use it for other verticals as well. So we found out that about 80% of our code was actually already multi-vertical. You could build any industry from out of it because accounting, products, customers, clients, organizations, this is all infrastructure which is multi-usable for many different areas. But the final push came from concrete interests from Germany. Here we are completely unrelated with Etherisc, but by personal relations. As you know, we are involved with cooperatives, residential cooperatives, and they need software for managing these real estate. I was just asked, can you develop something which we can use for managing residential apartments and so on? And so I was thinking, yes, why not? Yeah. So we have already all this infrastructure. We have payments, we have products, we have contracts, we have clients, and so why not do the final step and make it multi-vertical? And for us, this simply increases the reach in the market, and residential companies are very attractive because they move a lot of money around, and so building a good management system for them is pretty attractive, and we have a good access to this market. So that was pretty natural. And finally, the next vertical is software as a service, because that's what we are doing. And so eat your own dog food. Yeah. So so to say. So somehow I need to handle all my clients, and the project what we built. This is also a product. We need to offer subscriptions. We need to do accounting. We need to handle these clients, and so that's software as a service. So just for our own administration, we need to have some bookkeeping, accounting, and also payments and so on. So why not add software as a service as a third vertical? And now the funny thing is, when we developed this or tried to extend the infrastructure for the new verticals, we found out that it's actually um, building or forces us to create a much better architecture, because we are now forced to create very clear layers of the software, much clearer than we just do it in one stack for insurance, for example. So the new architecture is even better when we build it for multiple verticals than we build it only for one vertical, where we can shortcut some things, but the architecture will be worse than we do it for multiple verticals. And so currently we are focusing on insurance, of course, which is our main focus. Real estate is currently in developing on a pilot level, and software as a service on the same as also pilot level. We try to move our own administration on this platform as soon as possible, but probably in the second half of the year. And currently the focus is to, of course, the current project in Mozambique with the KfW. This will be the first fully rolled out application on the new platform.
Very interesting, and so many topics in one large breath. It feels like, Christoph. The million-dollar question, as always, from the community: will the DIP token play a role in this, and how? So I find it super fascinating, because Etherisc always has real-world applications, and obviously everybody who's being a part of our journey, being a part of this project, and also is invested, wants to know DIP token, what role does it play?
Yeah, exactly. The good news is actually the same like we intended for insurance. So people who follow our work for years now know my mantra. The DIP token is a utility token. People who use the platform will buy the DIP token, stake it, hold it for a long time, and create a continuous demand for the DIP token. But we need use of the platform. And what use of the platform is actually independent on the vertical. Yeah, this applies for insurance projects. It applies in the same way for real estate projects, for software as a service projects. So in all cases, we have the same model. People use the platform, people buy DIP tokens, stake it for a long time, create a demand for the DIP token. This is the core utility of the DIP token, only applied for other verticals as well. And so we could maybe rebrand the DIP token to something like from decentralized insurance protocol to decentralized infrastructure protocol, whatever. But I think the name is already hard coded in the smart contracts, so we can't modify it, but just as an idea. The same model can be used for other verticals. That is the basic news. And I think that is good news, because it shows that our platform is versatile and that we can move now to these other verticals shows the flexibility and also the substance of this basic idea. And so the only question is, where do we get demand for the platform? And as we have seen, it's still uh, hard in insurance. It won't be easy in other verticals as well, but it's better to have more verticals than just to have this only insurance vertical. And yeah, so we can conclude same model, same idea, same utility, just applied for different verticals.
Or insurance was the proving ground, but not the final destination.
Exactly.
All righty. So we talked about the DIP token. These companies you talked about, also this, correct me if I'm wrong, social housing project you're doing for a long time, very successfully in Munich
Yep.
city.
Mhm.
Will they hold DIP token, and how will this be structured? Will individuals hold DIP token? Will the company or the what do you call it in German, like the Genossenschaft hold the DIP token, or how do you want to structure this in theory?
Yeah, this is just a practical problem. Most of these companies, of course, have no crypto knowledge, and also probably they will face questions from their accounting manager when they start to hold crypto tokens. So what we offer is something like how you call it, a fiduciary model. Yeah, so we hold these tokens technically for these companies, so they don't need to deal with wallets and transactions and whatever. But legally, these will be part of or will be owned by these companies.
Alrighty.
We just take this technical handling from them.
Um, the reoccurring question is roadmap of Etherisk, upcoming projects, status quo of running projects. What is closest to what's happening now, which is what was the latest kickoff of which project, and maybe give a little bit of a brief or a bit of a conclusion of what's going on at this very moment in terms of projects running.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have, as I already mentioned, we have Mozambique, which is imminent in the next few months. We have the kickoff already scheduled for mid of June. And this will be the rollout of the platform in Mozambique. We have this huge Finova project in Mozambique with over 100 million US dollars in loans, mostly for so-called value chain lead firms. So the model is a bit different from Kenya, where the farmer will directly receive the policy. In Mozambique, there will be so-called aggregators which insure the farmers. So the farmer does not have to apply individually for the policy. So this is going very well. The first loans have already paid out. And also a very interesting development, Etherisc has been chosen to develop not only the insurance part, but also the loan handling platform for this project. So this does not mean that the hundreds of millions of dollars will float through our pockets, but we will build the infrastructure to monitor and to account for these loans for the donors, which are, for example, KfW. So the project has currently been extended, so we will build the central dashboard and the central administrative infrastructure and backbone for the whole Finova project, which is a great achievement, and also shows that we are also in this project, we are entering new areas of the use of this of our platform. And so this is most imminent. Then we are, of course, working on Zimbabwe, which is also ready for rollout and just waiting for some regulatory improvements. We have some very interesting leads currently incoming, one from Malta and one from Singapore, which I cannot directly talk about because still they are looking for funding, but very interesting. and of course the local real estate projects which are in early stages of specification and development. And on the research side, we are also exploring zero knowledge proofs. We have a first pilot based on a bachelor's thesis of my dear daughter, which has been, she has building a blockchain-based supply chain infrastructure for proving provenance of battery components. And this infrastructure is also very close to insurance. And so we are currently exploring this. So also very interesting. And but it also shows that zero knowledge proofs still have a way to go to be
Mm.
fully usable for professional applications in the insurance space. But interesting, and we're working on it.
Okay, so a lot of input again. I would like to circle back to the topic Kenya, Mozambique, Africa as a whole. As you know, I'm sure that Africa is ramping up its efforts to implement crypto in its day-to-day life operations, whatever. I specifically would love to know how the government of Mozambique and its institutions communicate crypto and blockchain, especially in payments.
Mozambique is still a bit behind Kenya. In Kenya, we have, as you know, we have companies like Element Pay and Kotani Pay and Honeypot who are already offering end-user crypto services and fiat to crypto conversion. Mozambique is still a bit behind, so they have no native fiat gateways in the country still. But the government is very open to this, and they have their own ministry for digital progress and communications, which is fully focusing on implementing new technologies in the Mozambique industry. And so there is a lot of stuff ongoing, but not on the level as we see it in Kenya. So we are still also again piloting in Mozambique. So we were one of the first who will use blockchain as part of the insurance operations. But as I said, the regulator and also the payment infrastructure in Mozambique is still not on the same level like Kenya.
Hmm. Would you say Nigeria is leading in this effort to implement crypto and blockchain technology, or is it Kenya for you?
We are not yet fully active in Nigeria, so I cannot really say a lot of this and compare it. I only know that Kenya is very leading in East Africa. Yeah, so they are probably the hotspot, Nairobi, and with all these companies, and this spreads, of course, to Tanzania, Zimbabwe, and Rwanda, which are all working on similar solutions as well.
So another question, if this does not go beyond the scope, could you please share one moment or one experience or one thing you saw or witnessed when you went to Mozambique that like personally touched you and that may gave you hope that crypto and blockchain will be eventually penetrating everything in terms of like livelihoods? Maybe you had an interaction with somebody you met there whose life got changed by our products or services also in the insurance space for farmers and smaller farmers.
Yeah, Mozambique is super dynamic. Yeah, so Maputo, of course, is the main city. Outside Maputo, it's very very thin still. But our project, the farmers of our project are in the north, in the Zambezi Valley. And these companies are already very much advanced. They have all offices in Maputo, so they are connecting to the international trade, and Maputo has all the infrastructure. Yeah, they have full mobile coverage, and via these companies which are doing real farming business in the Zambezi Valley, for example, these rural areas are also catching up. Yeah, so but still a long way to go. So this is a bit different from Kenya. Also in Kenya, you have more local businesses which are already apart from Nairobi, which are active and flourishing in Mozambique. It's still mostly focusing on Maputo, yeah, which is one big city, and then the rest is rural areas and slowly catching up. So a lot of power, a lot of energy, and but still a long way to go.
One last question, Christoph. Do you
Yeah.
think that blockchain technology, especially in the insurance space, will leapfrog the traditional insurance industry or like sector in Switzerland, Germany, and Austria? And will this business model become obsolete?
Yeah, I think we have two movements. Yeah, of course, from the for example, in Kenya with these crypto fiat gateway companies, which are very young. These are real startups with 5 young people, and they are they have very little infrastructure. They're very lean and very fast moving. The insurance companies are still very much copying the European model, unfortunately. Yeah, so they and there is even the tendency to implement more and more of the European regulation. Yeah, what we have seen in Kenya last with the data protection laws, which make it much harder for us to implement lean solutions. Because you always need government approval if you want to use data across companies and so on. So that is unfortunately also a development where the traditional industry tries to copy the European model, and so this nice piracy mode is no longer possible. We will see. I think still the what you say, the leapfrog element is still there, because of course they are creating many things from scratch and avoid all these legacy things what we have in Europe. And but it does not mean that they can just ignore or will ignore the all the regulations what we have in Europe. Yeah, so solvency regulations, data protection laws. This will also AML, know your customer. These are all institutions which will also be established there and make life a bit harder. But of course, this is a general international development where we can't escape completely.
Alrighty. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your answers. This hour was flying very, very fast as always. I could do this for 2 more hours,
Okay,
but I hope that we can do a few more AMAs in the future. And
absolutely.
I'm calling up upon our members about our community. Please send us questions, send us input, feedback. We're very happy. We will answer every question and every feedback on our social media platforms. Our handle is @Etherisk. So please don't hesitate to reach out with anything, any input. Also, we call upon anybody who wants to deploy an application on our platform. We are able to handle any, as you heard, business model that requires a stable and automated backend in handling data and processes and all stakeholders. Not just insurance, as you heard, but any other application you can think of. Talk to us. We will find a solution for you. This said, Christoph, thanks again for taking the time. It's always a pleasure. And see you, talk to you in the next AMA. Until then, have a good day, have a good week, and speak soon.
Thank you for having me. Bye bye. Have a nice day.
As
Bye bye.
always, bye bye. Thanks.